Hockey Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champion, and an absolute legend in the New York metropolitan area that goes all the way up to Cheshire, Connecticut, which I just told everybody on the Roku side. That's all I heard when I worked at ESPN is, Brian Leetch is from there. And here he is on the Rich Eisen Show in the 30th anniversary reunion season of the Rangers hoisting the cup. Brian Leetch. Good to see you, Brian. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, too. Yeah, you're right. Chris Berman used to mention him and I were in the same town all the time, on the Sports Center. Made me laugh.
Did you ever, run into him in Cheshire, walking around or anything like that?
Or? No, because I was a city guy the whole time. But at any of these golf events or any of our charity events, and we'd see each other, we'd always go have a little talk about how the town was doing.
It's and it's such a small town community in central Connecticut. That's where I spent 7 years working on ESPN. And you are now. Did you ever dream that you'd be synonymous with New York City and how this all played out in your life and career, Brian?
Well, you get drafted as an 18-year-old. So Rangers drafted me. I was like, I might have a chance, to make this team and to be a New York Ranger and to be 16 years there and, to get a shot at the Cup and to come through with a win in '94, pretty much defined my career that year. I mean, you can have a long career in other places, but to win in New York City, big deal.
So, I mean, and for a 16-year-old and for you to be such a pillar of the team, how quickly did you hear about the year 1940 and have 50 years of all of that placed on your shoulders, in your lap, Brian?
My first game with the Rangers, pretty much. The 1940 chant starts, and every visiting arena, it's a very, very easy one to chant. Obviously, on Long Island, they wouldn't let us forget it, not for 1 minute during every game against the Islanders. So, but for me, it was more of an opportunity. We'd walk around. I lived in New York City. I would talk to my teammates and we'd say, can you imagine winning in this city and what it would be like? We watched other teams win, and we've seen the parades, and we know the excitement that comes with being a New York City athlete. There's lows too, but when you're young and you're getting paid to play a sport, at an early age, all you can think about is the upside. It was like the opportunity that you had and presented with.
Yeah, the 1940 chants were unoriginal. Certainly not as original as Pot Van Sucks, Brian. I remember that one. I think I was in a blue seat once upon a time in my life chanting that. But that's the whole rivalry between the Rangers and Islanders from back in that day. So what was it like when Messier arrived, Brian?
Culture change. He'd already been, he had 5 Stanley Cups already at that point. He'd been to 7 finals. Confidence oozed through him. But him as a teammate, with every single person there, including the trainers, management, everybody that worked around the Garden, was so interesting to watch. It was perfect time for myself, for Adam Graves, for Mike Richter, to just observe and to become his friend and to be his teammate. Changed the whole dynamic of the whole organization. The way we thought about winning, the commitment that had to be put into preparation and conditioning. And he led by example as well as by talking, but it was more just him going about his business with confidence and working hard day to day.
So what do you remember the first time he walked in the locker room, or that you set eyes on him, Brian?
Yeah, we had just gotten done playing what then was called the Canada Cup, and he was on the Canadian team and I was on the American team, and I got injured in the finals, so I was not skating right away, and he came in and asked me how I was doing. But then we got out to practice, and I remember we were in Montreal and we were having our first practice, and there was about 15 feet of space all around Mark. No one wanted to go skate next to him. They couldn't believe that he was on the New York Rangers. And that was our morning skate of our first game in Montreal. but we hadn't skated with him up to that point. We just skated against him. But everybody there had so much respect for him, and a lot of us had fear for him as an opponent because of how competitive and how physical he was.
So then how did you learn that he's just one of the guys, though?
Oh, he made everyone feel comfortable immediately. Team dinners. He moved right into the city where I was living. We drove to and from practice every day. So just talking and hanging out, and he went out of his way to get to know everybody, get to know their families, get to know where they came from, kind of what made each person tick. And he went about that right away and wasn't forced, felt it was genuine. And all of a sudden, he was your friend. He was your teammate. And it was exciting.
And Brian Leetch, did you pick up the check? Did he get the check? Like, what were those team dinners?
We usually did the credit card game for a while, where the last one gets pulled out of the hat. And then, of course, he would step. And especially if it was a rookie or someone that wasn't making anything, he just liked the camaraderie of everybody going, oh, thank goodness mine got pulled out, or thank goodness mine got pulled out. But then at the end, he wouldn't let the one guy pay. He'd make sure that the older guys, whoever was making more money, would always jump in and we'd split up the tab.
So when Keenan came in, what was that like, Brian?
For me, it was interesting because Mike has his own way of going about team building, and I wasn't one of his favorites right from the beginning.
Why?
But that's what I always ask too, Rich. I'm like, why? Why me? But our GM Neil Smith liked me, and he's like, don't worry. And our team was good, so it wasn't like we were losing consistently, but he had players that he liked in the league, and he also liked moving out guys that had been there for a while and bring in his own players. So I think I was on that hit list for a while. But we had a good team, and Mark liked me. He had some sway with the general manager, and even when I got to the playoffs, I honestly thought I was going to be gone by the summer, but winning the cup and having Mike leave right after pretty much cemented that I'd be there for a lot longer.
No kidding. So it wasn't just as simple as maybe he picked you out to show other guys on the squad that he would treat somebody like you, difficultly. Like it wasn't one of those things with him.
No, it was just, it's kind of was his MO at that time. It's guys that had been there for a bit. And, he liked a player like Chris Chelios better than me. And he was always talking about moving me for Chris Chelios because Chelly and I are friends. And he'd call and say, what's going on with Iron Mike? He called me and said that he's trying to swap us. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm in his office every 2 weeks. And he tells me, what I'm doing wrong and how I'm struggling. But then I'd come out, Mark would be like, Messier would be like, don't worry about it. Just keep playing and keep doing what you're doing. So we got through it. We were the best team in the league that year. And obviously the playoffs went pretty well for myself and for the team.
No doubt. Richter too, you, and then the big moment, Game 6, Eastern Conference Finals, the Devils, the whole business, but Brodeur and everybody, and Messier guaranteeing a win in Game 6, coming up with a hat trick. How did you learn about Messier's guarantee, Brian?
Well, we weren't on the internet then, so we always grabbed the papers, every morning, and we knew it was a big series anyway in the New York area,
sure.
New York, New Jersey. So to just grab the papers, and there were multiple, newspaper publications at that time, so we'd have them in the car, and we just kind of laughed and looked at Mark and said, now you've really done it, huh? And we laughed about it. And but he felt really confident in our team. We know he had a good year. We know he'd played well up to that point, and he really believed that we would win that game. So just like we said about the opportunity in New York, everything gets a little bigger. And, that proclamation of believing in the team became the guarantee. And for him to play that game, our teammates and stuff that'll be getting together in the next few days, we still shake our head. We feel fortunate to be on a winning team that won the Stanley Cup, but that game sticks out to every one of us all the time. We just shake our head and said, "Can you believe we were a part of that?"
Yeah, you still 30 years later, in advance of the reunion that's going down this weekend, you're still shaking your head. And have you had conversations with Messier about it since then, Brian?
Like in joking ways, we've done a lot of appearances at charity events together, and and question and answer things, and it comes up in public, but not really in person. We talk about our families, about golfing, about what you've been up to, but we don't really reminisce that much, except about what our teammates are doing or what they're up to, and how fortunate we were to play those years there and to have a connection to such a sports special city like New York is. It's amazing.
And you're going to see everybody, right, coming up on Saturday at the Woodbridge Brewery in Woodbridge, New Jersey, which I know very well as a Staten Islander. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, we are. And it's interesting because we're all on a group text, and we'll always fire some things off about trying to set something up to get together. The Rangers had us back for a 25th reunion. And then some of the guys just started talking to some people in the area and said, well, why don't we put a fun few days together? Let's see if we can do some autographs and then have some dinners and have a couple rounds of golf. So, yeah, Saturday we're spread out through the whole day. I think it's in Hall of Fame signings, on the internet. You can look it up, where to get tickets and everything. But there'll be 3 or 4 guys at a time for the whole day. And then we're going out for a dinner after that. And then we've got some golf set up in the next couple of days after that. So 30 years, we all can't believe it. There'll be 16 of us there, skaters, plus Mike Keenan. And it'll be a fun time, to get everybody back together.
Is Keenan on the group text, Brian?
He's not on the group text, but I did. But when I was doing some TV for MSG, we did work together, and we've been together at a lot of events. And
right.
He doesn't remember everything quite the way I do, which makes me laugh. But we've had our clear the air moments, and okay. I like being around Mike.
All right. Yeah. The hatchet's buried.
Yeah.
The cups in the case. You know what I mean? It's all good. 30 years later. Unbelievable. Yeah. I would be remiss if, before I let you go, what's your 2 cents on Connor McDavid, watching him play when you see him, Brian?
Just another head shaker. To play at that speed and to have that skill, it's unbelievable for hockey to have an athlete like that put on show after show, night after night, and to have players like myself that used to play, and I used to be able to skate, as one of the top guys. To see this other level of a player and what he can do it's just so great as a hockey fan and as a former player. It's amazing to watch.
When you say head shaker, I'm with you. I don't. The way he skates, his puck handling ability, his vision, his size, you put it all together, and obviously he's wearing the Oilers sweater, so that's right. Another reason why a lot of people are going to be ascribing any sort of great one ability to him. Do you think that he is on a path, if not has a skill set that he can be mentioned in the same breath as Wayne Gretzky, Brian?
Oh, he will be. Yeah, he will be for sure. But all our top players in the NHL, besides being great people and great ambassadors, we're all a little different. Gordie Howe is a little different than obviously Wayne, and Mario Lemieux is different than Wayne. Then Crosby comes in and he plays the game a little bit different, and Connor's there, and we got Nathan McKinnon, and so all the top players, their styles are all just a little bit their own, which makes it fun as a fan. But yes, he'll be mentioned with all those guys I just mentioned, and be talked about as one of the greatest players of all time, without a doubt. It's not even a question.
Brian Leetch, it's just a pleasure, man, to chat with you, and on behalf of so many New Yorkers, for 30 years ago, what you did, and it just still resonates for a lot of people, including myself. I say thank you to you, Brian.
Yeah,
You know?
it was a good year for me too, Rich.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, absolutely, and I don't mean to leave on a note of potential discord, but this photograph is now being placed on the border of Connecticut, calling it the home of the pizza capital of the United States. And I just got to tell you, Brian, you spent a lot of time in New York. Do you agree with that sign?
Well, I
Brian?
had a sign for a few years, and then it kept rotating. So at least I was up there for a few years when I went back for Christmas and see my family in Cheshire. But then it was gone.
No, I understand that, but do you agree that that is the home of the pizza capital of the United States in Connecticut?
I know, but can't you just call yourself anything these days?
That's true.
I don't know. I haven't heard about it.
Okay, very good. I didn't want to start anything, but you can call yourself a Stanley Cup champion, man, and I look forward to hearing all the stories that come out of the reunion of the 30th year, and it's great to chat with you, Brian Leetch. You be well, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it. That is Brian Leetch. Everybody check it out. The Woodbridge Brewery is the home of this Ranger Palooza right here on the Rich Eisen Show this coming Saturday. Go to halloffamesignings.com or cxstuff.com for details and to purchase tickets. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.